All right, everybody. So we are back to the next episode of Irish Iron, and today's guest is none other than my mate, my friend, coach. Competitive bodybuilder. Recently started coaching out of Fire gyms in Blanchardstown. Mark Hodson, how are you doing today, Mark?
How are you on? Nice to be on. Thank you. How are you getting on?
I'm good. I'm good. But
Yeah,
one thing before we start.
yeah.
Sponsored by the podcast is now sponsored by Elevate Injury Clinic out of FBT Coolock. So for anyone listening who is, if you're better up from training, I know I was fairly negligent in terms of, getting myself fixed up and looked down. I mean, it was 4 years or 3 years at least since my last treatment. And I'm sure Mark here knows the importance of being treated and stuff like that. Dano, who runs the company, will give anyone who mentions Irish Iron 20% off your first treatment. So, uh, yeah, that's the only plug I have to do. Uh, that's it. Yeah, but moving forward, like regards, like I'm just gonna hop straight into it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
you had a seminar there last week. How did that go?
Yeah, it went really well. Good friend of mine, Adam Dowling, Adelaide coaching. He ran it. He set it up, and he asked me to come on board and speak at it, and then obviously take the gym part of it with him as well. So yeah, it was really good. It went really well. I was the first one I've done. So yeah, it went really well. And I was happy with how it went. Yeah, and he was delighted as well.
Sadly, what gym was it in?
It was based in Gym X. You've trained there yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, Savage Gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be up there a good bit now. It's like it's just a case of waiting for Niall to come out of his cave and training again. But
Yeah.
he's actually building a gym in his back garden, like a fully new building for it. Like he's building the
Yeah. Yeah.
walls. So I'm just like I said to him, look, come prep time, I have no excuse. Then I can just go there. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
keep on the money. But you've started working like with the seminar. Did you get good response? Did you get good feedback?
Yeah. People really enjoyed it. Obviously Adam is in charge of the whole thing, and but we are going to run a second one very soon, which will be announced in the next day or two. So yes, obviously it was good feedback if people are wanting another one. So yeah, couldn't be happier.
And did you get paid for it? Is the main thing, or was it just a free?
But
Did you get paid for it?
look, that's giving a bit much away, isn't it?
But look, the important thing is, I think the first few times you do it, obviously that being your first one, it's like anything. It's like the exposure is always good. Like I mean, word of mouth will spread. So hopefully the next one you'll get a few more people coming in. That
And
think.
man, I think as well, like regardless, like you need to have passion about talking about this stuff in the first place.
Yeah,
You have to actually you have to love it and actually want to be going talking about things. Otherwise, you're spinning your wheels.
yeah, for sure. I mean, what did you run through? I mean, like, would it just have been a general kind of nutritional and training seminar, like for the general population, or would it have been more like?
It was actually based on lower body hypertrophy, so everything to do with basically leg training. Um, so which was very interesting. Obviously, future ones will be different to that, but that was the first kind of one that was set up.
Deadly, deadly. So obviously, like everyone, like there wasn't just yourself. Was there a few other people partaking in it, or was it just yourself?
It was me, Adam, Dermot Kavanagh. I don't know if you know Dermot, good
No,
friend of mine, and then Keane O'Rourke as well. So they helped run it as well. So yeah.
deadly, deadly. No, that's good to hear, man. I mean, it's like I think that's definitely like the first step. I mean, you started working with a coach now as well. I mean, for the first time. I mean, the
Well,
longest time, like I mean, when we competed, like I'm pretty sure you prepped yourself the whole time anyway, didn't you?
yeah, I have gotten a hand before.
Okay.
Um, I've been coached by Jordan Peters as well in the past off season.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm with Patrick now. So yeah, I think going forward, I think I will have a coach from now on. I just have I have enough clients to be worrying about. I don't have to worry about myself as well. So I'd rather someone just tell me what to do, so I don't have to worry about myself and overthink. I just have to worry about my clients then.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely part of the game. I think it's like, I think half of us need a coach because of our own, what we're doing outside of training. I mean, like, I'm lucky enough that I can do an off season myself, but come prep time, it's definitely, I'd probably be someone who would need somebody to just take control, just so I don't have to think. That's it. You just go into the zone and let them do the work, you know. But is it just a case like it will be like that for yourself now? You just want to be able to do what you're told, and like if you want to give feedback, he'll ask for feedback kind of thing, or like how would it work?
No, obviously I'm not even prepping. I'm off season, and I let him take full control. I don't, I learn a lot as well, because obviously it's you learn off everyone. So you can learn things to implement with your own clients, and to implement yourself going forward. So it's all a learning process. You learn from absolutely everybody
Yeah.
you network with.
What would you say the biggest change was? Like, because I know Patrick has, like, I know he put a large focus on the training. Like, his training is
Yeah,
very different to a lot of what I've seen. Um, and the food is obviously part of that as well. Like, so I mean, is it a complete change from what you've done before, or kind of did it just fit what you were doing?
it's not a complete change. A lot of it is very different, but like at the end of the day, it's building's not very difficult. It's you eat well, you sleep well, you train hard. So yeah, obviously programming and stuff is different, food is different, but it all comes back to the same principles. But training wise, like obviously I would be more of a progressive overload style previously, and kind of just straight sets, trying to progress each week. But he will do the same, but then he'll have blocks where we'll switch to kind of volume. Obviously, his SST training as well. So stuff that I just wouldn't have done in the past. So it's nice it's different, it's nice. It's a different stimulus. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, with the SST, it's not more like focus on shorter rest periods or longer rest periods in between sets and stuff like that, or
Yeah, it's shorter rest periods, and like it's very, very tough. It's very different. Obviously, like it's you can't even use the same load as you would on straight sets. But obviously, the same principles go for with that sort of training. You're still looking to progress from week to week.
yeah,
So even though it may be a certain style of training, you're still trying. Like execution is still perfect, intensity is still there. You're still trying to progressively overload the sets each week. It's just a different style.
yeah. No, I mean, like I found, like I definitely like I mean, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was the training because from a top coach, like as you said there, it's still trying to focus on the same principles, which is progression. And by increase, like as you said, making the rest periods shorter, and I'd actually say it increases the intensity because you don't get that time to recover totally, that you'd be able to push those massive numbers. But then on the other hand, you're probably getting more muscular fatigue and work at the end of the day. That's what I would think. Like you'd be
Yeah,
more
and then
spent.
what I found as well is then say when you go from the SST and maybe transition back over into kind of straight progressive style, your strength will strength shot up fast
Yeah,
because you're used to these short rest periods, and then you're going back to kind of straight sets, longer rest periods, and strength just takes off again. So it's good in that way too.
Yeah, what were you chest pressing then the other day? So it was 70s, wasn't it? Something.
Um, yeah, dumbbells. Yeah,
Yeah, incline. So it
yeah.
wasn't flat, it was incline. Now that's impressive shit. I'm like, it's very funny because I'd be like, people would call me a good presser, and I'm like, I'm not a good presser. You should talk to some of the friends I'm friends with, like, they're good pressers. But do you find, like, obviously strength does carry over to size, but there's obviously going to be those exceptions. So what I was always interested in was obviously you can beat the numbers and get as strong as possible. Do you find you've obviously exploded, you've gotten a lot heavier and you're still in condition. So what do you think it was that kind of, contributed to that? Was it more food with more volumized training? Like all the clusters and
As in,
stuff?
like, are you talking about over the last, few months or the last few
Yeah,
years?
pretty much the last few months. Like what do you think was the biggest like change that kind of made that jump in progression for you?
Um, to be honest with you, I think I started off. I sucked so far down from my last show that I bounced good out of it. I rebounded well, and straight from that, because I sucked down so much, so it's just started to go on fast. Um, and then from there, yeah, I think for me, I always find progressive lifting and proper execution. That's what works for me. That's what makes me grow. I've tried kind of higher volume, stuff before. Obviously, like I said, with Patrick's, it is higher volume as well, but it's still a big focus on progressing, like I said. So we're still trying to move weight. Um, so again, I think you know yourself. You find the same, man. If I think weight carries over to, like, the weight you're moving carries over to progress and changing your physique. It really does. You can't just expect to, you know, you stick the same weights you're lifting for a period of time and expect to change.
No, I'd agree 100%. I agree 100%. Like, I tell people this, like, if you focus on the basics, like, I have some clients and, like, their genetics, like, they're actual athletes, they play sports, one's an American footballer, one's does hurdles and he does sprinting, right? So they just want to get strong and explosive. And I'm kind of
Yeah,
like, for a little bit of a change because they don't their events they like I mean the athletics for colleges don't start till 2021 because of COVID. So I was like, let's try and just get you a strong. He wants to gain weight because he can cut down. So power and strength and size and being able to hold. Like I tell people this: if you can move weight, a heavy weight in a good volume, when you want to go back down and test out your maxes or whatever lifts you have to max out at, you're going to be so much stronger and just able to push those kind of weights because when you cycle back to it, your workload as a total is going to be more. So do you think that carried over in terms of bodybuilding as well? So over time, as you said, like once you move back to doing straight sets, your power just was up there, and obviously the size came with it. So
yeah, and obviously when it goes back to straight sets, volume is lower. Recovery is a lot better too. Because you have that rest. It's not as many sets. And then obviously food, is still as high when we switch back to the lower volume. So you just kind of seem to fill out more, and strength takes another kind of shoot up again.
yeah.
So yeah.
Would you eat less calories on rest days, and would you keep it the same?
Um, Previously in the past, and with a lot of clients, I would go lower calorie rest days, not by much, but obviously energy demands are lower on a rest day, because you aren't in the gym. So that's the approach I would usually take. Well, not in all cases, but a lot of the time I would, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I do find like if you're coaching somebody who definitely would hold a bit more body fat, I would say use those rest days as a rest day. Like don't push the food as high. Kind of just carb cycle, maybe a calorie cycle, and then I found they've stayed a bit leaner and they've been able to push up that body weight as opposed to I do think when you want to get to that next level, you can't slack on the rest days. You need to push the food up on the rest days.
Yeah,
But,
depends
but
how much body fat you're holding in the first place.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, do you think over time, once you held, like you've probably been this body weight before, but you weren't as lean. So, I mean, do you find you just got leaner each time you reached it?
Yeah,
Or,
I find anytime I push back up to a body weight, I'm always better at it. The second and third time I hit it again, like it, like better quality, leaner, and not just kind of holding as much fat as I was the first time I've reached that weight. It's like you
yeah,
grow in. It's like you grow into that weight.
yeah. I mean, it's funny. I tell people it's like I haven't weighed myself in like 4 weeks, and I tell people this: look, until I reach the numbers where I was pushing in the last peak of my off season, which like I'm not far off. I'd say I'm about 3 weeks away from that.
Yeah,
Then I'll weigh myself because I want to see if I'm actually, what I was like. Like I want to compare it. I want to see what the difference is in the physique and the body composition when I'm moving the same kind of numbers I was like in 2 years ago. But I mean, like with the lockdown, like obviously, with your clients, did you find it was a case of, they've looked better? Like I mean, they're they rebounded better and they're in a much better place than they were to move forward in terms of the body composition and stuff.
yeah. To be honest, like some of my clients, we use lockdown to pull body fat levels back down and leave ourselves in a better position to push back up once gyms reopens.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what happened. Like a lot of people now have made huge progress since lockdown has been lifted and they can train again because they have left themselves in a good position before getting back into the gym.
yeah. I mean, did you have any guys doing the shows? Were you having anyone doing the shows that were called off?
Yeah, I had a couple, yeah, which was a shame, but look, it is what it is. You can understand why, and yeah,
Yeah, so they'll be going into September or May or whatever. Like NABA was just announced there, so I mean that'll be in October next year. So I mean
yeah,
I'll be doing that one anyway. Like I pretty much said if I was gonna do spring, I wouldn't tell anyone. I kind of just do it because I have a few clients in the shows anyway, so I want their focus. Like I want uh, like my focus to be on them anyway. So I was like, if I used to do spring, I'd probably just keep it on the wraps. And then, but October, like I've always said, like I want to do that October show. But will you be taking some time, like another year, or will you be competing? You think?
man, I'll be 2 or 3 years maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Another two. Yeah, I'm in no rush.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No rush. I know what I need to do, man. I know that I'm nowhere near the level I need to be at. I'm not delusional. So, um, loads of time yet left yet before I go back on
Yeah.
stage.
Deadly. But I mean, I think when you come back though, you'll be so much more improved than you were. Like I mean, the jump you made from 2017 with myself. But when was you competed there? And what was it, 2016 or 2015 before that?
Yeah,
Yeah, and you made
2016.
you made a big jump there as well in terms of the size. So it's like, and then obviously 22, like what is it, 22 or 23? Like you're like 2022 or 23 when you come
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
you'll be
yeah,
significantly better again. So
yeah.
you know,
Hopefully that's the plan.
yeah. But with Patrick, do you find like would he be someone who's very blunt with the way he does it, or is he kind of somebody who would be like yeah, I know he's very meticulous, which probably suits you quite well because you're quite meticulous with
Yeah,
what you do. So
he's just very straight to the point. He just tells it as it is.
yeah,
Um, there's no, you know, there's no bullshit. It's just if you're good, you're good. If you're bad, you're bad. Um, he tells you, if he has changes, like he'll tell you what he's changing. Yeah, there's no bullshit, man. That's what I like. He just tells you as it is.
yeah,
Um, if he's not happy, he'll tell you. If he's happy, he'll tell you. So yeah,
deadly, deadly. And he doesn't. Do you find like he's not like some of the other coaches where you know, he does coach a lot of pros and stuff, but
Yeah.
does it feel like he gives you the necessary attention, basically, you know?
Yeah, man. I've had a very good experience with him. In terms of feeling like I've got the attention off him, because obviously he does have a lot of clients, a lot of pros as well. So but no, I can't fault it. I've had, like, any question I have, he's there to answer. He gives me in-depth responses, in-depth check-ins and stuff. So yeah, I haven't had any issues whatsoever.
Because that'll be you, and Christian is working with him now. I'm sure there's a few other Irish guys working with him that I don't know, but like it'll be interesting to see what he does with you guys anyway, because I know Christian's off the socials again, so he'll probably come back at some point and just not tell anybody and win something again. But I mean, that's what I'm used to expecting from him. But
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be good to see you come back anyway. I mean, look, I'm under no delusions myself. I just said to myself, I'm not stepping on stage until I reach that point in my off season where I know I can, and then
yeah.
just hold that body weight for a little bit and then diet down. But if I don't reach that body weight, I'm not going to even bother dieting down, because it's not like with bodybuilding, you know yourself, it's not like you probably wouldn't want to step on stage if you weren't happy with the way your physique was, would you?
No, man. If I start dieting and like 6 weeks out from a show, I realised I'd made no progress, I wouldn't compete. I'd go back into an off season and start to improve again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, did you ever do that? Did you ever pull out from the shop? I mean, at some point.
No, but I've never had to, because I think I'm so obsessed with progressing that I've always progressed
Yeah,
in some way.
yeah. So yeah, no, I get you, 100%, 100%. Because I think the problem was like I mean, this is what I was told anyway. It's like body, like obviously condition wins shows, and I'm like, I could absolutely diet down right now and probably get into condition, but I'm also like, but I don't feel I would be happy with the size. Like I'm like, I want to come back and just be big as well and conditioned, but I want to be bigger. Like, 'cause that's progression. Anyone else? I think it's everyone can get conditioned if they like, try hard enough. But getting muscle and progressing in terms of actual muscle, that's a lot
Yeah,
harder. That's a lot
it,
harder.
it takes time.
Like fuck, it does. Like I mean, I remember looking at the magazines and watching the videos, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait. In 8 years, we're gonna be like 98 kilos shredding on stage. I'm, I'm just like, no, I'm not
Yeah,
quite there.
it doesn't work like that. Sure doesn't.
No, no. But I mean, do you find like it's a taller competitor? Um, like I tell people this: once a taller man fills out the frame and they come in condition, more than likely they're going to get the nod, just because it's a big
Yeah,
imposing figure. So
but how long is it going to take to fill out a frame?
yeah,
Fucking 15 years.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's not easy. Like, but look, we do it because we love it. Regardless of what happens in competing, like, it's not going to change like what we do. If we were told we're never able to compete again, I'd still be doing this tomorrow, or training and eating the way I do. So it's just patience, just seeing where each year takes us, and then yeah, hopefully it does eventually fill out, but it'll be a
yeah.
long time waiting.
Yeah, how many calories are you on now? I mean, like talking about diet and stuff. I mean, what
Yeah.
would your food intake be these days working with Patrick?
To be honest, I have the plan, but I don't. He doesn't have calories on it, so I didn't even count them. If I think off the top of my head, it looks it's around 5.5, 6,000.
Yeah,
But I don't know the exact numbers, but it's all it's all clean, which is it's not easy. It's different. So there's no Cocoa Pops or cereal or any shit like that. But yeah, so it's different in that way. Everything is like clean.
yeah. But I mean, would the ratio, would it be high protein or would it be lower protein and high carbs? Or what kind of?
Um, he has me, his approach. It's lower protein.
Yeah,
Um, So yeah, it's obviously lower than it ever has been for me. I'm a big advocate of higher protein. Um, so it was a big change, but it's, I've only had positive changes, and progressions. So I can't say it's negatively affected me at all, only positively. So again, it's something I would have never done before. But when you cross paths with different people and talk and learn, there's so many more approaches out there that work as well. There's not only one way to skin a cat, I suppose.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I actually was always an advocate of lower protein. I kind of preach it, and the only reason of why I did it was because I was like, you want to eat enough protein that you're able to synthesize repair, but I would rather somebody get the bulk of their calories from clean carbohydrates. And then low fats, the fats would usually be quite low. Like, I mean, with the guys I work with, kind of with myself, I've always kind of pushed protein quite low. I mean, I'd probably be having 300 grams, like, I mean, which is
Yeah.
low for
Well, what are
me.
you weighing?
I mean,
What
like,
what do you weigh?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, I was last time I did. That's the thing. I don't know. But like, I mean, when I was like last time I checked, it was in the 90s anyway. So it's like 300
That's
grams.
still
Yeah,
300 is pretty high for you, man.
yeah, yeah.
That's about 1.5 per gram per pound.
Yeah, I suppose, but then like in my head, I would always see the numbers thrown out. I'd see like 450 grams for people and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
what I
but they're
did,
like heavier than you as well.
yeah. But what I have done this time around now, I've lowered the protein even more. So it's around 240, 250. The carbs
Yeah,
will be nice and high, like around like 600, and then the fats will be around, 70 to 80, and it's all like kind of like I've stayed lean, so like I'm gonna keep pushing until I like I don't think I'll get fat, but you know what I mean in terms of like unnecessary weight. Like there's no point
yeah,
of putting on the unnecessary weight. Like I think when you're carrying around weight, it's heavy enough. You don't want 6 or 7 kilos of water. So
yeah, yeah. So unless it's gonna hugely improve performance, and then if that's the case, some people do. Some people find when they get that heavy, they find that performance is kind of on that on another level. So for some people, it's worth pushing up there to get a good run of that performance and then pull them back down. But again, it's just person dependent, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, like I definitely did find now with just carrying around a bit of water and a bit of fat, like there were certain things I was able to do. I was able to bench quite well, and I was able to, but I haven't done flat bench in so long. I'm kind of like, it's I just wouldn't risk it. I mean, but like that's just
Yeah,
myself. I mean, I just don't go near it. I mean,
it's terrifying. I only brought flat bench back in a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm like, no, I'm actually going to take it back out. I'm terrified.
it's more like, what do you find scary? I mean, do you find it's like, have you ever injured yourself doing it, or did you?
I've slightly tore a pec before flat benching
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was like 18.
Oh fuck, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So anytime I'm benching, I always like have that in my head, like of that feeling. So because it's so easily done.
Yeah, I mean, what would like? I mean, for me anyway, like it was stupidity that did it for me. The first time it was just miscounting the weight on the bar, and then the second time it was on a Smith machine. So I'm kind of like, I've never been injured flat benching when I've done it properly, but I have had a few close calls, and I'm kind of like, the gains you get from it. Like, I mean, it's arguable that you could probably get the same from doing, dumbbell press and like some good incline work as well. And
Yeah, yeah.
like I mean, with yourself, you'd be a big incline presser, wouldn't you? You'd do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't like. I do enjoy a lot of incline, but to be honest, I always say that if you, not a lot of people have a very strong upper chest,
Mm,
so if you focus on your upper chest, more incline movements, the rest of your chest is going to grow.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, it's hardly going to be like your upper chest is going to grow and the rest of it's going to stay small. You know, so whereas if you just kind of flat press and don't focus on the incline, yeah, your upper chest isn't going to grow, but the rest of your chest might.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. I mean, I would tell people it's even worth to, you know, the prime before you go in. Like maybe we'll do a flying machine that you have a good connection with, and just get a pump or get some squeezing and, you know, stretching in the muscle group, and then go into the press and you'll be good to go. But I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I
that's not
do.
wrong.
I would do a flying machine, and then I'd go in and do my pressing. My boys got, like, at least in this off season. Like, I mean, like, this is the
Yeah,
first off season I felt like pressing in a long time. So,
yeah,
but
yeah. If you feel like you get a better connection by doing that, well then,
yeah,
you know, it's going to be a lot more beneficial than just jumping in first on any sort of press.
yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think we can both agree in terms of gaining muscle and making progress. You have to kind of cause some form of overload, be it reps, be it weight, or be it, like, you know, slower, like shorter rest periods. Um, but it's mainly gonna be free weights, and it's mainly gonna be like machines that are as close to a free weight as possible. Or would you say?
Uh,
I mean, what would you be thinking?
I don't personally. I like basic movements, free weights, dumbbells, barbells, but that's just my preference. It doesn't mean they're better for building muscle. You know, I found they have been, but machines are just as good in most cases. You know, it just depends on the person, how well they connect with certain exercises, um, and their mechanics. You know, not everyone can. You can't just say to someone, "Okay, let's go do that barbell press." They're not going to feel it the same way you do. You know, so you're going to have to kind of get something to suit their mechanics, and that may not be a barbell or dumbbell. You know, so
Oh no, for sure, for sure. But I think what people mix up is they will often avoid the hard stuff
yeah,
because it's easier to do. So what I mean is, like, if you're able to do the basic stuff and you feel it
oh
connected,
yeah,
do it. But
oh
if
yeah,
not, find the next best thing. So, like,
yeah,
a great example I tell people is this. Um, Variations of a Smith machine squat can be really good for building up a good pair of legs, because you can get all the different stances. It's kind of similar to a hack squat if you do it properly. But then that same person may not get the same from a free bar squat, you know?
yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah,
that would be an example. So they're both hard exercises. It's just a different form of an exercise. It's the same exercise in a different form. It's like the same movement plane, basically.
yeah, yeah. You're right, and like different, like yeah, that's it. Different exercises are going to suit different people better.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people. The problem is, I see now is, like, even in the gym, since I started working in the gym, I get a lot of people. I was spotting somebody, and he was doing flat bench or incline bench, and he had like 50 kilos on the bar. So I was like, grand, I give him a spot. How many reps do you want? He's like, I'll go for five. Five. On the fifth rep, just racked it. And I was like, dude, you have like six more reps in you. Would you not want to, like, go to failure or go any further? And he
Yeah,
just racked it. I'm just like,
but people like people, he probably doesn't know what failure is.
yeah,
You know, so that's not his fault. He just hasn't experienced what it is to kind of push himself. Yeah,
yeah,
and if he has someone there with him that knows how to, he'll very soon know how to push the failure. You know what I mean? But that's not his fault. You know what I mean? He will learn that along the way,
yeah. Oh no, for
and
sure.
he'll know that he's capable of a lot more than he thinks he is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, but the main thing is, I think it's like, the sad thing is, though, you see a lot of guys getting into training, and, you know, instead of looking at, like, the basic stuff to get results, because, like, everyone should start with the basics in some form, they kind of hop straight to the advanced stuff, you know. So they'd be, you know,
Yeah,
focusing a lot on, like, band work. They'd be focusing a lot on stuff that's kind of, you know, It's not totally needed, especially when you're starting out. Like overloading different planes of movement when you're starting out
I agree.
isn't going to do
Yeah,
nothing. So
yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people will see fancy exercises on Instagram done by a guy they look up to, somebody with a lot of muscle, but they don't realize that that guy did not build that amount of muscle doing these exercises. He's built it through years of consistently, progressively training with probably basic movements. And that's how he's built his base. And just because he's using an exercise now that may look fancy, you know, the a young person might think that's how he's built himself, and then they will think that's where to start.
yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. I mean, the main thing is, I think it's like it's up to us in a way, to spread that knowledge. I mean, especially to get the people who are passionate about training and passionate about bodybuilding, lifting, get them started on the right path and kind of avoid the bullshit at the start that you and me went through. At least I did. I know for the first couple of years, my training was hard, but it definitely wasn't like, focused. It was kind of like, I'll just do this and see if it works kind of situation. But
Yeah.
but did you find like having to do that? It taught you a lot more because you found out what
Oh,
to do.
definitely. Although, although it would have been nice to kind of know what I know now then, or knew what I know now then, or maybe kind of had the guidance at the start. I still, I don't think I do anything different because I've learned so much by
Yeah,
doing things wrong and by fucking up. You know what I mean? That now I kind of teach people not to make the mistakes that I have.
yeah. I mean,
You
I
know?
tell people to stay in agreement like with that. Like I tell people this, that when I do my own off-season diets, I don't even count the calories in them because I know exactly what foods I'd be eating. I know exactly what weights of food I'd be eating, and I know exactly what calories would be in those said foods. So I don't actually write it out. It's all done in the head because it's the same thing. But if
Fair
I
play to you. You know that.
It's the same thing. It's like this, you know what I mean? It's like the two shakes with the oats and the whey and the peanut butter, and then it'll be like 3 or 4 meals around that, and they're the same meals. So I'm kind of like, you know what I mean? It's the same basic stuff, so it just doesn't change. But if I was telling someone starting out, don't do that, I would say track the base levels of everything you're kind of intaking, just so you kind of have an estimate of what. Make sure you're eating enough. I'd rather have somebody who's starting off eat more than less. Like I'd always kind of encourage that, but
Yeah.
and it depends.
Again, depends what level of body fat they're starting off with as well. You can't just tell a guy with 20% body fat to keep eating more. It doesn't work that easy. You can't just get huge by forcing all the food down you if you're already holding that body fat.
Yeah, I mean, especially like again, like I have a few clients, and it's a weird one because like they're obviously gaining muscle, but it's they started at such like I'm so used to starting with myself at quite a low body fat, but trying to get somebody in shape and gaining tissue at the same time, it's a lot more. It's fun. It's really fun, but at the same time, it's definitely reminds me of like starting off the gym when your body just recomposes itself, like under that stress. Like, would you be coaching a lot of beginners, like now that you've moved into fire, like, or would you be?
Um, to be honest, I actually don't have many beginners what at all, man. No, I don't. They all have some sort of experience behind them. So, but no, I know what you mean. That initial phase where you start training and you can totally recomp. You can gain muscle fast. You can drop body fat fast. Everything is just like them few months or that first year. Um, Imagine you had the knowledge you have now going to that first year. The progress you'd make is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Like that's the fun part. It's like I think that's the fun part though in helping other people. I mean, especially like with some people I'd be helping, they're only getting into bodybuilding training. So as far as I'm concerned, their terms of gym age and like properly putting the effort in, pretty much like
Yeah.
a 10-year-old, you know, walking into the gym, like their body just responds to everything you tell them. But I mean, did you find like now that working with a coach and an outside source, it's kind of like a new start, you know, like you kind of have that, your body's fresh, you know, like your body wants to kind of grow and stuff.
Um, Not really, man, because like, it's not magic, we've already been doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's no crazy difference. Um, it just comes to a stage where you don't have that initial, when you're starting to train, you're not going to make that progress again. So then after that, like, and when you kind of get a few years into training, it's just the consistency that's going to do it, regardless of if you're coaching yourself or have a coach. It's a consistency of doing the same thing day in, day out, and just sticking to it. That's going to do it for you.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, but going forward into the competitive season, do you think, like, I think next year the shows are going to be packed out? Like, I mean, the fact that they're announcing NABA as it is already, like, they're obviously putting something in plan, you know. I think it was like you turn pro, like, you win the show, and then you can compete in the pro show straight afterwards. So I'm like, that hasn't been done in a while, which that should be interesting. So.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm sure, like, there'll be a ton of people going for that. I mean, I'd say Conor McGee will be coming back for that one. I know Enda's coming back. Enda Wright's coming back.
Have you had him on the podcast yet?
Tomorrow. It's done to get
Oh,
up tomorrow morning. He doesn't
I
want to
haven't
be.
had.
He doesn't want to be on video because he has hay fever. So I was like, Grant, look, we'll just do the audio. Like, just
Yeah,
post the audio and put. I'll have the video though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna post it unless he says it. But
yeah.
I'm not
I
forward to that one.
Yeah, I haven't talked to seen it. I haven't even seen it in over a year now. I look forward to listen to that one.
Yeah, Tommy's working with him anyway, so I'm sure like he'll be, gunning for whatever show he has in mind.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think like obviously like there's a few like I mean there's a few Irish guys making their debut. I mean Shane's making his debut. I think Darren Farrell's making his like second pro attempt, and then I mean Vinny. I mean will probably be going into it. I mean, but what do you think of that showdown? Like, I mean, Shane will be going to Spain and it's top three in the Olympia, top three in
Oh,
each class going to the Olympia. So
that's big, isn't it? Who's doing? Is Vinny doing it as well, or just Shane?
I think it's just Darren and Shane.
Darren and Shane, yeah. Yeah. The progress Darren has made in 2 years is insane,
Nuts, nuts.
crazy. So I'm looking forward to seeing him.
It's like 20
Huh?
kilos of it's like 20 kilos of legitimate stage weight,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
nuts.
And then Shane as well, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Shane. Shane, Shane will be at the Olympia at some stage. I've no doubt. Like it's yeah, he knows how good he is.
I think
Everyone does.
just has to come in shape is all. That's really all because he keeps improving. I mean, his legs.
Look,
That picture he stuck up the other day, and I was just like, look at his legs. It's like, what the hell has he done to his legs? Like, they've legitimately grown like 3 inches of just quad, and I'm just like, fuck. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
you just have to appreciate stuff like that, man. It's nice to see. It's good to see people. It's good to see Irish bodybuilding grown as well.
Yeah,
Very good.
sure, for sure. I mean, like, what I've always respected about you was like, you were like me. You weren't afraid to go over abroad and compete as a younger, guy. I mean, you went to Body Power and you did that. You've gone to the Europeans like twice, isn't it now at this point? Or is it just one?
And no, once and then the Arnold's once.
Yeah. So you've done big shows like, and you put your feet in with the guys who are like the top of the game in Europe at our age group at the time. And I mean, at least when I went to the UK as a junior, the guys over there, like I competed against Ryan Crowley. I mean, he's a freak, man.
Yeah,
But I bet
yeah,
him back then. I bet him back then. So I was like, but he just couldn't. He wasn't in condition. And now I'm just like he's big and he's shredded. I'm like, those are the guys in the UK. That's the kind of
yeah,
guy. So I
yeah.
mean, what did you feel when you competed abroad? Like, I mean, you certainly like. Did you feel it was like intimidating, or did you feel it was kind of, you had to do it? Or
I don't get intimidated or stressed trying to give out shows, man.
Yeah,
All you can do is bring your best, and then whatever else turns up.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, but it was more exciting, um, because you just get to see where you actually stand against, like, people across Europe and stuff, and see where you're actually at. So it's humbling as well.
yeah. That's
Um,
the word.
but
That's the word.
it's a
I
different level. Like the guys, it's not just about being when you go over there. It's not just about being big or shredded. It's just you can be as big as you want or as shredded as you want, but you just don't have the shape and the flow like some of them do. They just have it like, and it's like they're born to bodybuild,
yeah,
and it's just crazy to watch.
yeah. I mean, at least when I went over to junior, I remember I came fifth, and I was like, I was quite happy, considering, um, the circumstances behind that with the travel and being there on my own, like totally on my own, really. And I still came fifth, but I remember I was like, the guy who won it and the guy who came second, it was like, and the guy who came third were all like stupidly good. I was like,
Yeah,
they would have won the open shows like back here. And then I think fourth and fifth with myself and him, like we both agree it was condition. Your man was just a bit more conditioned. And then obviously everyone else beyond myself just wasn't in shape. But like the guys who won, like as you said, they weren't the biggest guys on stage. They weren't. The biggest guys on stage didn't place. So
yeah,
it's like they just had this shape and flow and structure to them, and the condition along with that to pull it off. And it was
yeah.
crazy to see. But the question I have for you is, there's a lot less of young talent in Ireland going abroad to compete. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's a case of they're afraid of losing and like losing and then it getting seen back home here? Or do you think it's like a case of like, I mean, what's your whole take on it? I mean, I have a few thoughts, but
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't know what way people are thinking, or I haven't really thought about that, to be honest. But um, honestly, what I do think is that with social media and the power of it nowadays, I do think people are more concerned about doing shows that they can do well in to post on their social media. And I think maybe they like to avoid shows that they they know they'll probably get beaten in. Maybe I don't know. Personally, I think going to shows that there's a strong possibility you're gonna get smoked. That's there the shows you learn the most from, and you can actually grow the most from as a bodybuilder and a person. So I actually like, it's easy to pick smaller shows and win them, but I think it's very important to push yourself out there and go to the bigger shows and learn from that.
yeah, I mean, a good example, I mean, even just using yourself as an example, I mean, you won the Spring Nationals back in
Yeah.
junior, was it 2015, 2016?
Oh yeah. Oh, 2016. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't win anything then until 2019. So it's like you were like me,
Yeah.
you kind
Yeah.
of placed like until you finally won something. But you did the shows. You didn't like not do the shows. So I mean, do
Yeah.
you felt like would you improve from that? I mean, I always think you have to lose to win. So these are
Yeah.
nice.
Definitely. You learn so much more from losing than you do from winning.
Yeah. And I'm sure it makes that win all that more appreciate like you appreciate the win once you get it. Like it's definitely something, you
Yeah,
know.
it's nice. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but then like what when you won, did you kind of say like was it like great? Now what next? Or did you take a little bit more time to, you know,
No, regardless of regardless of what results came there, it was always going to be the same outcome. Like the next day, back working towards the next one. Win or lose, that's always the outcome of it.
yeah,
So the result doesn't, like I said before, the result doesn't matter. And what it does. Obviously, you want to win, but at the end of the day, the result isn't going to matter. You're still going to be doing this regardless of what happens. So goals don't change just because you win or lose.
Yeah, I mean, talking about somebody like, I mean, you got to train with Blessing now, what, like 2 weeks ago or something? I mean, what's he like in person now at this stage? He looks like a fucking different animal. He looks like he's ate the last Blessing and like put on like 20 or 30 pounds of just something.
Yeah, because he has. He's his pictures don't do justice. It's crazy to see.
Yeah,
It's good to see. You know, it's nice to be around in that environment around people like that
yeah,
and realize like kind of what the standard is. So it's crazy. He is, yeah, very very good to see.
yeah. What did you train with him? Did you do?
Trained back. A couple
Oh,
of us trained. Gav trained as well, and Nigel. We trained back. Yeah. Um, it's like we said. It's just you don't really see anything like that over here. So when you see it in person, it's a lot of muscle, a lot.
but I thought, like, I mean, the impressive thing I thought was like he's been that body weight before, but it's the way he looks at that body weight and he's hitting those poses, and I'm like, he's actually filling out the weak spot. I think once his legs come up, once he brings up the maybe the hamstrings a little bit more, like certain areas like that, like he'll be a force to be. Not that he wouldn't place now, like not saying he wouldn't place now, but it's definitely just that leg thickness. Once that comes up, he'll be like up there on the big stages, hopefully, because
Look, man, he's
we know he can get in shape because we've seen him in shape before. It's just
yeah. I won't say anything, man. He's 10 times as good as I'll ever be. So I'll just say nothing here. He can do what he wants.
yeah. No, but it's crazy seeing the guy like we used to know, and he's training over in Dubai with Larry Diaz, and he's doing all these videos. I'm like, you can't feel nothing but like good things about it. You know, he's definitely earned it. You know, he didn't get it given to him by any means. Like he earned
Yeah,
it.
it's seeing good people doing well. It's
Yeah.
nice, man. It's good to see.
Yeah. But I mean, like that going forward, like, do you think, like, I mean, there's definitely a few guys now who I think are getting to that level where, I mean, there's certain individuals who will be like stars in the future. I mean, IB is somebody who I'd be keeping my eye on. I'd say
Yeah,
Leon win the pro card this year coming anyway. I think
yeah,
we have Josh Coyle who's going to Classic as well. Forgot about
yeah,
him. And then of course the NABA guys, we have all those guys as well. So we have Locke and we have Christian and whoever else will be doing those shows, like going to the universe and representing. Like I've always said, I want to just go to the universe and give that a shot, like just to see what happens. But I wouldn't. I've also said to myself, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing the universe if I didn't win a class or win a show. Like I don't think
yeah,
that it would be fair to do it. Like I mean, it
yeah.
just wouldn't,
Again, man, yeah, go on.
No, no, carry on, yeah. No,
You're still so young as well. Like there's no rush for you to be. Yeah, it will come. You know, it will happen. So
yeah.
just keep doing what
So,
you're doing. It will. Yeah,
I just said to myself, like, it's like, you know what? It's like you learn from all the losses, and it's like it's easy to rectify stuff you've lost from, because when you win all the time, and then you lose, like you're kind of gonna be like, why did I lose? But whereas when you lose like when you've lost, and then when you finally win, you know why you've won, because you've changed all the things that stopped you winning. So
yeah,
going forward, I know what I have to do. Like I know exactly what I have to do, and it's finally kind of clicking. Like everything's finally kind of clicking. And I'm just like, now that the date's been announced, I'm like, Deadly, we have like a full year to just push really slowly and just see what happens.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's it. But I mean, going forward, do you think, like, do you have any clients or anyone you think like will be a force to be reckoned with in shows, or anyone that you'd be pushing, like,
Um,
that I would know, or anything like that?
you know, who do you know?
Are you helping Liam?
Liam was meant.
Yeah,
Liam O'Connor was meant to do nationals. He would have been really good. He's
yeah,
he's still dieting down, but obviously there's no shows, so that would have been exciting.
yeah.
You know Warren Kelly, do you?
No, wait, is he training out of fire, or where is he training
I,
at?
yeah, I'm training him for it. So he's been working with me the last 2 months, and he looks really good. I don't know if he's even going to compete, to be honest, but he's just one of them people who likes to train, and he's just freaky. Well,
Yeah.
that would be good to see on stage as well. But yeah, it's exciting all around, man. There's a lot of good guys coming up and coming through. Um, yeah, it'd be good to see. It'd be good to see what happens in next year in the shows. I said it will be very, very busy.
Oh, for sure. I'm excited to see you go to the muscle contest. I mean, like, because I mean, if
Yeah,
they're like, I mean, the guys will be gunning for pro. I mean, Giovanni was meant to do it this year. You know,
yeah,
what's he gonna look like once he has another year of growing? Like he's finally moving the
yeah,
big boy weights. I was like, I saw him doing some rows with like 170, and I was like, good. He should have been doing that like 3 years ago when I was like growing that kind of weight. But now he's finally, I think, like once he's pushing himself hard now, he'll kind of explode. Like he's already
yeah.
big as hell, but
He's crazy. Yeah, again, it's another level, isn't it?
it's just like I'm just like, how did we beat that? You know, it's like we did, so we have that.
Yeah,
So, but I joke with him. I say like I always used to rip it out of him. I was like, because in fairness to the guy, like I haven't seen him since last September, I think, when the show started. But he was training with me that whole year um during the preps. And then obviously I think when he started prepping, he just focused in with Wally and kind of his own crew. And I can respect
yeah,
that, you know, like he was in his own little zone. So I respected that. But like seeing him train and like just work, but it's funny. It's like the guy was he didn't know much, you know, he didn't know much. We'd be driving in the car and he'd be asking me all these questions. And I'd be like, dude, you've won shows. Like, what are you asking me for? Just you do what you're doing and listen to Shane because whatever it's doing, it's working, you know?
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that being said, man, like I think we're coming up on the hour. So I just want to finish off and basically just ask a few quick fire questions, I suppose. Like, so who do you think in the Olympia this year is going to be the top five of the guys that we know is competing? If you
Oh
think,
Jesus, I don't even. I'll go no order. Okay, so
yeah,
Phil,
yeah,
Brandon, Onak. Who else is even doing it?
yeah. I mean, I was thinking like you have the pro shows coming up now. Like you have the New York Pro in Tampa. You have the Chicago Pro coming up. There is pro shows. Like Hunter's doing it. Hunter Labrada's doing it.
Yeah, yeah. It's honestly, man. I honestly have no clue. I think that would be the top three. I think Brandon, Bonak, Phil. But after that, like, who knows? Even the likes of James Holland's head could creep into the top 10, just outside the top six, maybe.
Because I mean,
So
even because the top three will be gone like from Spain, they'll be going to the Olympia, and then you have certain guys like Samson who'll probably win his show in Korea once that goes ahead, and you have
yeah,
like
and
all
there's
the
a lot of guys.
yeah
There's a lot of guys that can't do Olympia as well, so it leaves room for other people to place a bit higher. So yeah,
yeah
it'd be interesting.
yeah. I mean, are you if they make a pay per view, I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm definitely gonna pay for it because it'll be the
I was
first
I was
one.
I was meant to go to it this year, and fucking this shit happened.
Did you have tickets, or were you gonna buy the tickets?
No, I was about to book them, and then all this happened. So
Damn. I mean, like I was gonna go. I was saying I wanted to go to the Arnold Classic, like for the expo and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like I suppose I'll have to wait a couple of years now, or
yeah,
anyway. But I mean, imagine Shane or Darren or somebody got into the Olympia. That would be insane. Like, doesn't matter if they place, they're still one of the best in the world. You know, legitimately, if they
if
stand.
they can even if they can even get over there though,
Yeah.
if they can even travel over to America.
Yeah, I don't think we're. I think we're able to though because we're taking flights in, so I'm pretty sure like we should be able to.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, yeah,
But imagine like that would be nuts. I mean, like even with the muscle contest, like the pros that would be competing here again, that would be freaky to see. I mean, watching those guys was nuts. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, like, there's a few guys here that I'm looking forward to compete. Like Ian McGarry, I'm sure he'll look really good when he competes next.
Yeah,
Um, of course, Christian, Brian
yeah,
Kerry. The list goes on. I mean, it really does. I mean, I'm coaching a junior, and like, I'm excited for him because it's like I didn't have a like. I'm kind of like, dude, I'm just gonna make sure you have like really enjoy it. Like, it's gonna be hard, but you'll be ready. Like I said to him, like,
yeah,
you will be ready. Like, don't stress about it. Like, and like, it's kind of the first time I'll have somebody on stage who's doing bodybuilding, because the last two guys I had, they were doing men's physique, and to be honest with you, like, I'm not going to name their names because um the preps went sideways, and it was kind of just a lack of communication, and they didn't really expect it to be as hard as it was to get
yeah,
this stage shape. Like, I think they expected it to be more like a photo shoot kind of shape. And I was like, no, you have to push beyond that 4 weeks to the point where you're going to be like, you're going to be wrecked. You're going to be in a state of just starvation. Like, but it's controlled starvation is essentially what it is, you know?
yeah.
So I'm like,
That's the,
I just want him to, I'm excited, like, as a bodybuilder, to have a bodybuilder on stage. I mean, like, you, like, obviously you have Liam and you have your own clients and stuff like that. But like, I mean, going forward though, I mean, like, do you think it'll be socially distanced shows and stuff, or do you think it'll eventually die out a little bit?
who knows, man? Honestly, who knows? I've no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah,
It probably will be most likely, but let's just get through this year first and then see what else happens.
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, look, my man, it was a delight having you on. I will post this tomorrow at some point.
Yeah,
I'll post you and end this up at the same time anyway, or I'll give it a
ready.
gap. But look, I'll give you a text when it's up anyway, my man, and thanks for making the time. I'm
Thank you for
sure
having me on.
we're getting a session soon now anyway, at some point. But and that is it. That is it for the latest episode of Irish Iron.